So this is the next chapter of the Enchanted Wood. So we're on chapter 11 now, and it's called More and More Surprises. There doesn't seem to be anyone here, said Bessie, cautiously looking round. Well, who lighted that candle? Asked Moonface, his big round face looking anxious. We didn't leave it lighted. Suddenly, the father bear gave an angry growl and pointed to his chair. Who's been sitting in my chair? He said. And who's been sitting in my chair? Said the mother bear, pointing to hers. And who's been sitting in my chair and broken it all to bits? Squeaked the baby bear in tears. Bessie giggled. This sounds like the story of the 3 bears coming true, she said to Fanny. They'll talk about porridge next. Who's been eating my porridge? Said the father bear angrily. And who's been eating my porridge? Said the mother bear. And who's been eating mine and gobbled it all up? Wept the baby bear, scraping his spoon around the empty plate. It's all very mysterious, said Moonface. Somebody lighted the candle, somebody sat in the chairs, somebody ate the porridge. But who? Not me this time, said Goldilocks. I was with you all the time. We were snowballing, wasn't I, bears? You certainly were, growled the father bear, patting the little girl on the back. He was very fond of her. I wish we had found poor Joe, said Bessie. Whatever will he be doing in this horrid cold land? Do you suppose we ought to go out and look for him again? Said Fanny, shivering at the thought of the ice-cold wind outside. No, said Moonface decidedly. No one is going out of this cottage again till we're safely in the wood at home. I'm afraid we can't possibly rescue Joe now. What's that noise? Said Goldilocks suddenly. Everybody listened. Someone was snoring softly in the next room. Can you remember who it is? We never thought of looking in there, said Moonface. Who could it be? Shh, said Goldilocks. If we can catch him asleep, we can tie him up and make him a prisoner easily. But if he wakes up, he might be fierce. They tiptoed to the door of the bedroom. One by one, they squeezed through. Who's been laying on my bed? Said the father bear in a growly voice. Shh, said Moonface crossly. Who's been lying on my bed? Said the mother bear. Shh, said everyone. And who's been lying on my bed and is fast asleep there still? Said the baby bear. Everyone stared at the cot. Yes, there was someone there. Someone in a white bear skin. Was it a polar bear? It's a white bear, said Moonface, half frightened. Tie him up before he wakes, said the father bear. He's an enemy now. Goldilocks got a rope out of the kitchen cupboard. Moonface went one side of the cot and the father bear went the other. The rope held between them. They nodded to one another. In a trice, both went down, caught hold of the sleeper and twisted the rope tightly round him. He's caught, cried Moonface joyfully. Joe awoke with a jump. Who had got him? Had the magic snowman caught him again? He began to shout and struggle. Moonface tied him more tightly. And then Bessie and Fanny saw his face and yelled out loudly, Moonface, it's Joe, it's Joe, oh, it's Joe. They rushed to the cot and flung their arms around Joe. The boy was too astonished to speak. He got out of the rope and hugged his sisters. How did you get here? He asked. How did you get here? Cried Bessie and Fanny. Come into the kitchen and we'll have some porridge and hot milk, said Goldilocks. We can talk then and get warm. So Joe went with the others, all chattering loudly about everything. Goldilocks ladled out porridge into blue bowls and made some cocoa. Soon everyone was putting sugar or treacle on porridge and drinking cocoa. Joe poured some milk over his porridge and smiled joyfully at everybody. What an adventure this has been, he said. Shall I tell my tale first, or will you tell yours? He told his, and then Bessie told how Moonface had gone to the 3 bears for their help and all about the fierce battle. "It's a pity about the battle," said the father bear mournfully. "The white bears are cousins of ours, and we've always been friendly. Now they seem to be enemies." "Let's hope they don't discover our cottage," said Goldilocks, eating her porridge. "Moonface, hadn't we better make some magic and get back to the wood?" Plenty of time," said Moonface, pouring himself out another cup of cocoa. But, there wasn't plenty of time. For just at that moment, Goldilocks gave a scream and pointed out the window. "Someone looked in," she said. "Don't be silly," said Moonface. "I'm not," said Goldilocks. "I tell you, somebody looked in. Who could it be?" "The handle of the white door is moving," yelled Moonface, and he leapt to the door. In a trice he had locked it and bolted it. The father bear got up and went to the window. He looked out into the snowstorm. "I can't see anything," he said, and then he growled loudly. "Yes, I can. I can see the white bears. They have surrounded our cottage. Now what shall we do?" "Well, they can't get in at the door, and they certainly shan't get in at the window," said Moonface, looking fierce. The door shook, but it held well. Someone battered on it. "We shan't let you in," yelled Joe. "If anyone tries to open the door or break it, I'll hit them with this kettle," shouted Moonface, who had caught up the kettle and was dancing about with it. "Moonface, that kettle has got hot water in it," said Fanny. "Do be careful. You dropped some on me." "I'll pour it down the neck of any bears that dares come in here," yelled Moonface, spattering the room with his steaming drops. "Oh dear," said Bessie. "Hide behind the bed, Fanny. It seems to me that Moonface is almost as dangerous as the bears." The father bear dragged the big table across the door. Things were getting exciting. Joe and the girls were frightened, but they couldn't help feeling terribly thrilled too. Whatever was going to happen next? "Oomph! Oomph!" boomed the big bears outside, but they couldn't get in at the door or window. But they found another way. The chimney was wide and big, for the fireplace was one of the old-fashioned kind and needed a wide chimney. One of the bears climbed up onto the roof, followed by 3 more. The first one slipped into the big chimney. Down he went, whoosh! And down went another, and the third, and the fourth. They landed with a crash onto the big hearth and hurriedly jumped away from the flames of the fire. "Surrender!" they cried to the startled children and bears. "Surrender! The magic snowman is outside. Let him in." And that's the end of chapter 11.